man, what a sweet intro. Oh, okay. Hey, everybody, this is Rick from pseudosamurai.com, and today we're going over particles in the Citrus engine. Particles can really add a lot to your game. You can get like realistic fire, atmosphere, smoke, all kinds of interesting things you can do with them. The trick is just to be subtle and not overdo it, because it can eventually hurt your performance. But Starling offloads everything to GPU, so you can maintain a pretty good frame rate even with a lot of particles moving around on your stage. So anyway, without further ado, I mentioned Starling. Starling is extensible. There's some extensions. One of the first extensions for it was actually a particle designer, and it comes with the Citrus engine. So if you look at my my SWIC that I downloaded, we go down here to Starling and go down to extensions. Boom, right here we got our particles. Pow. Awesome. Okay, so anyway, we're starting off kind of where we left off with our little game engine here, with this, I got my little jumper guy and coins and all this. For whatever reason, my capture software is really slowing down the frame rate right now. Didn't seem to do that last time I played, but maybe it was and I just didn't notice. So anyway, let's get some particles in there. Okay, let's particle it up. Okay, so first thing, we're gonna go online. Now, I'm not often jealous of Macs and Apple, but I'm a little jealous of this. If you're running a Mac, you can get the particle designer here, and it's a pretty awesome program where you can just design different particle looks, but it also has a ton of presets which are user made. You can add presets, get presets. Really slick software, and if you're on a Mac, I recommend buying it. But for us lowly Windows people, we can go over here to onebyOneDesign.com /particle editor, and we get this. Now, one of the advantages of this over the particle designer by 71 squared is that this is actually running Flash right now, so we get to see exactly what our particles are going to look like when it's in Flash. And there's a little variance in the particle designer for the Mac. So anyway, that's a pretty awesome editor. So you can look through it and kind of learn about how to use it or just play with it. But what I'm going to do is I'll start off by my particle count here. This is really important. You want the least amount of particles that you can that still looks good. Okay, so you might want to turn it down, 170, 140 maybe. Okay, the lifespan is how long the particles live, right? So I've turned that up. You'll notice the particles live a really long time. I don't want them to live that long, so we're going to drop it down to here. Okay, so look at that. I got a nice little candle flame. Now the variance here, and this is true for all the variances, is basically the lifespan plus or minus this number. So you can drop that down too. Now I've got this tiny little baby flame. I might leave it a little bigger. Okay, start size, obviously how big it is. You can start very small. We'll leave that up. We got the variance, might drop that a little bit. Finish size, you can have real fat flame, or little baby flame. The emitter angle is, if you think of this as sort of 0, then you kind of rotate around, right? So fly in this direction, then we rotate around. 180 will be pointing this way, 90 would be down, and then 270 is up, and then 360 is back back to where you start, or back to 0, right? So angle variance, you can, you know, it can kind of spin out, you know, so you can get some cool effects. You can make like a portal or all kinds of things. Anyway, fun to play around with. The other thing I'll mention real quick while I'm in here is it's very hard to fine-tune these values. So it's good to get close, but you might have to go in later and adjust these by hand. Okay, so I can't quite get it back to 270. It's about as good as I'm going to get. Okay, I can load particles I already have designed. So I can load a particle I already have. So let's go over here and we'll load you. There we go. I've got this guy going. Okay, so cool. I might drop his lifespan a little bit more. And start size and speed. There we go. So that's pretty cool looking. So you can load other particles you have. You can also change the textures. Right now, the texture is just this white ball. Black is the alpha. If I want, I could use a star, right? And now I've got a star going. So you can do anything you want. I can upload a texture. So if I went over here, I could use a coin, right? Or this alien plant thing. Let's do that. There you go. Butterfly particles. All right, so you can do whatever you wanted. Okay. But we're just going to stick with our circle for now. You'll get the best results depending on what you want to do. So yeah, we get this particle going. We can play with all this stuff. One thing I'll point out is the blend function. This will drastically change sort of the blending. So if you look over here, we've got, you know, it could get weird, okay, or interesting depending on how you look at it. But by moving this stuff around, so this one is no longer using the alpha. This one's pretty cool looking, huh? Now, the other thing I'll mention is the background, right? It looks really good on black, but my level isn't black. My level is, you know, kind of a light blue color. So now in this light blue color, it really fades away a lot of the color I had in there. Okay, so we might have to try a different particle or do different things. Okay, but once I get the particle looking the way I want, okay, what I can do is export the particle, and I'll get this particle zip. I can save it, and I've already done this, so I'm not going to save this one. Okay, and what you get is you get a texture file and a PEX file, and this PEX file is really just a an XML file. Excuse me, an XML file with a bunch of different values in here. So if you come in here, this is where you could set your values. So, you know, if my angle wasn't at 270 exactly, I can come in here and change it, or, you know, get the exact lifespan I want, or whatever, if that makes sense. Okay, so I can change it, save it, I'm good to go. All right. So I have actually made two particles, and I'll show you how I made them in a second. But let's start putting them into the game. So the particle one I just showed you. I just did this here. Okay, played with my amount, lifespan, all that, and I got my initial particle. That's this particle here. For the atmosphere particle, what I did is, again, I kind of played around with this stuff, but I just turned up my X variance and my Y variance. and I dropped the speed, and I gave it a lot of lifespan, and then you know, basically something like this. So just sort of popping on and off, and this we're going to use as sort of sprites floating around in our world to give it a little atmosphere. You see it in games a lot where you're walking through a forest and there's little glowy things that just kind of float around. So that's what we're going to do. I changed the colors around a little bit and whatever, but you get the idea. It's real easy to just kind of make these floating particles. Now, one thing I'll note is this maxes out at 1,000 right here. Okay, but my level is 4,000 pixels wide and 800 pixels tall. So I have to come in here and edit that. So I came in here and I changed that to 4,000, left that at 1,000, so that it'll fill my whole stage when I put it on there, rather than just 1,000 by 1,000. Okay, enough of the particles. Let's do something with these particles. Okay, so I went in here and I made a new folder. Boom, right here, called particles. Mine's right here, and all I did was I took my guys and dragged them over. Okay, since both of these use the same texture, I only need one of the textures. Okay, awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by embedding my particle stuff. So I'm just going to copy my my Dragon Bones embed code right here. Copy that, and I'm going to need a couple embeds here. So first thing is to change, actually before I always do this, change my directory, particles, right, because that's what I called it, particles there. Next is the PEX file. So we'll start with atmo.pex, and that's octet string, and we're just going to call it atmo PEX. Okay. Now I can copy this guy and paste him here. I'll do it one more time. Okay, so next up is particle PEX. So particle PEX, and we'll just call this one part PEX. There we go. The last one is our texture, PNG, and this doesn't need a MIME type because it's just a PNG. And this one we can call part text for particle texture. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so next up, so we'll come down here to our init function, and I'll just go right below where I make my level, and let's start making some particle systems. So first one we'll make is we'll just call it hero particle. So hero part, and this is going to be new PD particle system. Okay, boom, just like that. And to this we need to send an XML file and a texture, kind of like a texture atlas. So XML, we're going to cast our PEX to an XML, right? So pretty easy. We just need to make a new, and this one will be part PEX. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, good. Next, what we want, texture, whoops, and we just want texture, Starling texture, right here, texture dot from bitmap, boom. And then what we need to do is just send a new, and then we have our texture, so it's part text like that. Okay, boom, boom, and I think one more, just like that. Okay, so let's go back. Now we just need to create an instance variable of the hero part. If I just hit Control-1, this little menu comes up, instance variable, adds it up here. I'm gonna give it a little space there. Okay, so there's my hero particle. Next I need to start it, right? This could be frustrating. You make your particle, you add it to your scene, you can't see it, what's going on? Well, you have to start the particle going. So you just hit start, and then it wants you to enter a number, and this number is the duration. So if you wanted your particle system to go for 1 second and then stop, you could do that. But if we want it to run forever, we're just going to leave it blank. Okay, so it's just going to continuously run. Okay, so I've got my hero particle. Awesome. Ready to get going. Now I want this to be behind the hero's head, essentially. Okay, so if I were to add it down here after the hero is instantiated, I add it here, it would be in front of him. But like I said, I want it to be behind him, so I'm just going to instantiate it right here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to make, we'll call it flame. It's equal to a new citrus sprite. Okay, so we're going to make a sprite. And like most of these things, we need to give it a name, so I'll just call it flame. And then we need to, or we can pass in some object parameters. So this is where we assign the view like we have before. And I'm just going to make the hero part, which sounds kind of weird now that I think about it. That's going to be the view of this sprite, if that makes any sense. It's late at night. So again, Control-1, make an instance variable. There's my flame. Okay, cool. Next, all I need to do is just add it. So add flame. Alright, so now it's there. The problem is, it needs to move with my hero. Okay? So we're going to do it in our update function. So every time it updates, we're going to just move the citrus sprite, the flame, to our hero's position. Okay, cool. But it's going to help to have a little helper function, a little method to get the job done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here after the update, and we make a private function called move emitter. Okay, and what we want is we want a sprite, and this is of type citrus sprite, like that. And then we want the x, and that's an int, and the y, and that will be an int as well. Okay, and then this won't return anything, so void, just like that. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say what sprite and where does it go. Okay. Now in here, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of break apart our sprite. So we get our sprite, and actually what we're going to do is cast it. So sprite dot view. So we're getting a reference to our particle, right? And we're going to cast it as a PD particle system, just like that. And then we want the emitter x, okay, and that will be equal to our x. And then let's copy that and make this our y, just like that. Okay, cool. So this little method's gonna get the heavy lifting done. Okay, so now we'll come up into our update function, and we'll say, so if I were to say move emitter, and I say what do we want? We want the flame, and we want it to move to the hero.x, hero.y, like that. Okay, this is going to throw an error because this is going to be called before the hero is even created. So it'll say, you know, can't reference null object. You know, one of my favorite errors ever. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, I'm going to test to see if the hero exists yet. So if hero doesn't equal null, then make this make this emitter move. Easy enough. Okay, so if I did everything right, we can test this, and look at that, I've got a flame coming out of my head. Okay, so like I mentioned before, on the dark background you'll get more color. So if I can, you see the little color as it passes the object there. But on the light background it blends a little bit, and I think it's because the texture is white. If I were to change that to like more of a gray color, it might work a little better. But I'm not sure. I haven't played around with it too much yet. But I'm getting a very nice particle stream coming off my head. I don't know why this little alien guy, his head is on fire, but it is. And he's screaming, "No, my head's on fire." Okay. Anyway. Cool. So we've got moving particles. Now what we're going to do is let's add the atmosphere particle. Okay. So first thing we do is let's make our particle. Okay. So we'll just come right over here and we'll call this atmo part equals new PD particle system. And once again, we'll send in the XML. We can kind of just copy this really. Like that. Copy, paste. And the texture is the same. The only thing different is this. It's atmo pex, like that. And then we just need to create the instance variable right up there. Cool. Okay, so now we have that particle. Now this atmosphere, I want it to be in front of my hero, in front of everything really. So we're just going to come down here and we say, we'll just call it atmo equals new citrus bright, right? And we'll call it atmo. Now we'll send our parameters, and first we give it the view of atmo part, right? Next, oh, don't want to close that yet. Next, I want to give it a parallax value, so it looks closer to the screen or the camera, so it'll move a lot faster than the background object. So parallax, hopefully I spelled that right. Parallax X, I'm sorry, and we'll give it like a good value, like 1.8 maybe, 1.7, we'll try that. And parallax Y, 1.7, good. Close that, yeah. And then create the instance variable, very nice. Okay, and then we just need to add it. So atmo, boom, boom. Okay, so this hopefully is in front of everything. Now, what I need to do, because right now it's at the origin 0, 0. Okay, and it's a pretty big emitter. I mean, it's 4,000 wide, but at 0, 0 it'll only go halfway across my level. Okay, so I need to move it to the center. Well, fortunately we have our move emitter function, and we're going to move our atmo, and where are we going to move it? Well, we want the middle of the stage, so stage dot stage width, and we want to divide that in half, but we're going to use the bitwise operator because it's a little bit faster than dividing, and you want to be as efficient as possible when you're working with games. So stage dot stage height 1, like that. Boom, just like that. So hopefully that'll move the emitter right to the center of the screen. Should look good. I think we're ready to test it. Okay. So if you look, I see a few little floating guys. They're just, see where they are? Like I said before, my screen cap is really slowing everything down right now, but when I'm not capturing the screen, it runs at 60 frames a second. It's really quite nice. So, but see how they move so quickly, but it gives it a little bit of depth to your level and just some visual interest, I think. So anyway, it's still incredibly difficult for me to land on this platform. There we go. I nailed it. Nailed it. But yeah, so now I've got some particle stuff going on. Like I said before, the key is just not to overdo it, you know. Use it wisely to enhance things, not just because you can. And yeah, we can get some pretty cool effects going on. So hopefully that gives you some interesting ideas on how to use particles in your level. And you know, good luck. Man, that was an awesome intro, wasn't it? Well, okay, I'll see you next time. You know, keep on experimenting, having fun. Bye.